My opinion is shaped by the view of the leaders of the military. The reason why I supported the policy to start with was because General Colin Powell, who is then chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, is the one that strongly recommended we adopt this policy in the Clinton administration. I have not heard General Powell or any of the other military leaders reverse their position.
That was Senator John McCain speaking this past summer, describing his position on Don't Ask, Don't Tell. A month ago, General Powell did reverse his position. So that seems straightforward, right? Senator McCain had said he supported the policy in the first place because Colin Powell supported it. He was waiting to see if Colin Powell would change his mind about that. Then Colin Powell changed his mind, and John McCain says he still likes Don't Ask, Don't Tell. He said on Meet the Press this weekend that the policy is working, which is the same argument that he and other proponents of the policy have been trying to make since it's been clear that the Obama administration is going to repeal this policy.
Has this policy been ideal? No, it is not, but it has been effective.
I think the rule of don't ask, don't tell has seemed to work pretty well.
It has helped to balance a potentially disruptive tension between the desires of a minority and the broader interests of our all-volunteer force. It has sustained unit cohesion and unit morale.
Today in the House Armed Services Committee, Congressman Joe Wilson explained what proponents of keeping the anti-gay policy mean when they say that the policy is working.
During fiscal year 1999 through fiscal year 2008, 8 of those years being wartime years, the military service separated more than 1.9 million people. 8,300 of those, less than 0.5%, were as a result of Section 654. That's about 800 people being discharged per year. And unless you contradict me, that is not a significant loss from an overall DoD manpower perspective.
Not a significant loss. From a manpower perspective, the military is only losing 800 troops a year. That's why. That's only 2 or 3 service people a day. 2 or 3 troops a day. Who cares, right? Meet one of them. Former Air Force Major Mike Elmy. He served the United States Air Force for 13 years, including 4 tours of duty in the Middle East. It was during the height of the insurgency in Iraq in 2006 when the Air Force decided to spend its manpower searching through Major Elmy's private emails to try to figure out if he might secretly be gay, even though he'd never told anyone in the military ever about his sexual orientation, and he had therefore never violated the don't tell part of the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy. At a press conference in favor of repealing the policy today, Major Elmy described what happened next.
I led those nearly 200 men and women in a deployment to Iraq, where my team came under daily mortar attacks as they were controlling the airspace over Iraq. During this deployment, I was named one of the top officers in my career field for the entire Air Force. In Iraq, during the height of the insurgency, the Air Force conducted a search of my private emails solely to determine if I had violated Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and to gather whatever evidence they could use against me. I was relieved of my duties, leading nearly 200 airmen. My security clearance was suspended, part of my pay was terminated, and I was forced to endure a grueling 16-month legal ordeal before I was ultimately discharged from the Air Force. On my final day of active duty, I was given a police escort from the base, as if I were a common criminal or a threat to national security.
Joining us now is Major Mike Elmy, who was on Capitol Hill today with a group of senators announcing new legislation to repeal Don't Ask, Don't Tell. Mr. Elmy, thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you for having me tonight, Rachel.
So you were discharged in 2006. I know this is the first time you've talked about it on television. Why have you decided to come forward in this way now and tell your story?
For a variety of reasons. There's tremendous momentum that is going on right now in the House as well as the Senate and also in the Pentagon and the administration. There's a great deal of movement right now and an impetus to finally get this ball rolling forward. Partly through the Senate, the great staffers there, as well as in the House. There's also several key organizations that have been working very hard behind this. Service Members United, Service Members Legal Defense Network, as well as the Human Rights Campaign. I know several of these people, and they know me, they knew my story, and they had asked me to come forward at this time and to tell it. So I said yes. I was more than happy to play whatever small part I could in this movement to finally end this discrimination.
The inertia that's pushing against that momentum has been voiced by people like Senator John McCain or Congressman Joe Wilson, arguing that losing a few troops a day to this policy doesn't matter from a manpower standpoint, that don't ask, don't tell is working. What's your reaction to that argument?
I kind of scratch my head and just, I don't understand it. We've recruited convicted felons and brought them into the military. We have brought in drug dealers, people who have made terrorist threats, and yet we continue to turn away qualified, capable men and women who only want to serve their country. It astounds me, the loss of manpower that we have thrown away in our country. Thousands of people, as well as taking it personally. That when they say that number is acceptable, that is me that they're talking about.
Some people who want to keep the policy have argued specifically that it shouldn't be repealed now specifically because we're at war. That's part of the reason that your story is so incredible. You were relieved of duty while deployed in Iraq. Can you talk about the impact on the mission, on the folks that you were working with there, of your getting fired?
It had a tremendous impact after I was fired. I was working in an absolutely amazing squadron. The people there were just incredible. They were highly dedicated, highly trained. They worked very hard at getting the mission done and were very successful at that. We had strong unit cohesion, in other words. After I was fired, it had a complete disruption to the unit, to the cohesion, to the mission. There was a lot of chaos, a lot of confusion. I was replaced by an officer who was very junior to me and who, quite frankly, just wasn't adequately prepared for the job. And as a result, the mission suffered, and so did the unit cohesion.
I know that you served 13 years before you were fired under this policy, and you've been in the private sector now for 3 years.
Correct.
If you could still serve, would you?
Absolutely. I will be one of the first people, if not the first person, to go back in. And there's no greater desire than I have right now to go back into the Air Force as an officer and a leader. It's what I was born to do. It's what I was called to do. I come from a family with a strong military background, and I miss it tremendously.
Do you think that the military, the Defense Department, needs 9 months to study this?
I don't, to be perfectly honest with you. I think they could shorten that quite a bit. I do believe that they need time to develop a strategy to deal with implementation. Certainly that they need a little time to prepare for that. Concurrently, Congress can go ahead and move this legislation forward as the Pentagon is studying how to deal with repeal. I'm not sure that they need 9 months, but we'll see.
In terms of the specific grounds on which you were discharged, one of the things that we know about your case is that you actually don't seem to have violated the don't ask, don't tell policy. You didn't tell anybody
Correct.
that you were gay. It was a bit of a witch hunt. They went through your emails for other reasons, found things they didn't like, and then decided to investigate you. Is it your understanding, under the sort of interim softening of don't ask, don't tell, that Secretary Gates has proposed, that under those rules now, you might not have been kicked out if that had happened today?
That's what I understand. From the announcement that Secretary Gates made when he testified last month before Congress, when he wanted to get rid of these so-called third-party outings, I believe that would have had a direct bearing upon my case. And in all likelihood, I would still be in active duty. I probably would have been promoted and certainly would have gone on to finish my successful career.
Major Mike Elmy, discharged from the military because of the don't ask, don't tell policy. Thank you for speaking out, for joining us tonight, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me tonight, Rachel.